Hi everyone. I did my book talk on Night by Elie Wiesel. It's about World War II, it's about the Holocaust and his experience in a concentration camp with his father. So the book starts out with him and his family going on through life as normal. Everything is fine even though it's the middle of World War II, and I think because they're such a really religious Jewish family that they believe that God will guide them through this and that nothing this bad could happen to them with God watching over them. And so they go through life and they're unaware that they're going to be taken to a ghetto, and their whole neighborhood is going to be turned into what is called a ghetto, and then they're going to be moved to a concentration camp and separated. Eli and his father are separated from his mom and his brothers and his sisters because the men go one way and the women go another way. And so they're not sure if they're ever going to see their family again. And I don't know if the book doesn't end with him talking about his mother and his sisters, but his father ends up dying right at the very end after they've went through this whole ordeal together. They've been through the snow, trekking through the snow. They've been through working and not eating hardly anything and trying to watch over each other as well as themselves. And I want to read a passage, just a quick paragraph, to show you his writing style and to show you what he really was feeling during the Holocaust. The absent no longer entered our thoughts. One spoke of them. Who knows what happened to them? But their fate was not on our minds. We were incapable of thinking. Our senses were numbed. Everything was fading into a fog. We no longer clung to anything. The instincts of self-preservation, of self-defense, of pride had all deserted us. In one terrifying moment of lucidity, I thought of us as damned souls wandering through the void, souls condemned to wander through space until the end of time, seeking redemption, seeking oblivion, without any hope of finding either. So you really get a sense of how hopeless he really felt and how helpless he was. He was just going through the motions every day in Auschwitz, not knowing when it was going to be his time to go to the crematorium, if he was ever going to see his mother and his sisters again, and trying to take care of his father. And not only does the book focus on the Holocaust as a whole and World War II and their constant hope that someone's going to come to their rescue, but he focuses a lot also on his faith. In a lot of parts of the book he talks about how he pretty much stops believing in God. He grapples with this idea of faith and religion, and he asks God a bunch, like, how could you let this happen to us, and why should I pray to a God that's watching over us and letting these terrible things happen and not helping us, not sending anybody to our rescue, and how could you even let this happen in the first place to people that are so faithful to you? And he watches a bunch of his comrades like around him praying to God, and he really struggles with this, and he says, why should I pray to you? Why should I praise you when all you've done is desert us? And the book ends with he has an injured foot and he's in the hospital, and he escapes because they know that there's going to be like a raid going on, and he escapes with his father even though he should have stayed in the hospital because 2 days later the Russians liberated the hospital. So he goes on longer and longer, and he's forced to go through the snow to another concentration camp where eventually they are freed by the Americans, and you get a sense at the end that he kind of has his faith restored. And so I really recommend this book. It's a super quick read. I read the whole thing in like a couple hours, and it's a really good book for those of you who haven't read it. It's really good for anyone who just wants a good read, or anyone who's interested in the Holocaust or what it was like, or just anybody in general. It's really quick, and he does a really good job of explaining his feelings and exploring all of his struggles, internal and external, throughout the Holocaust. Thanks, guys.